The situation: you are a sports writer for one of the biggest newspapers in the United States. You are noted as being very talented at covering the sport of baseball and have been asked to be one of the select number of writers and sportscasters that are asked to participate in the voting for the inductees into the Baseball Hall of Fame. This is a great honor, and you believe you are very blessed to have gotten this chance. You happen to meet some of the other voters, and they are very distinguished people. Now voting season comes around. You get a letter from the National Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. Now it's your time to decide. Is voting for a player who set multiple awe-striking, jaw-dropping records, but has been connected to multiple steroid scandals alright? Do they deserve to get in? If I was put into this situation, there's no way the steroid users would be let into the Hall of Fame. Granted, they did do some amazing things and accomplish some amazing feats, but if you cheat in anything, you don't deserve your success. To make this decision, you would probably like to know about how many players have been on steroids. Sure, it's an illegal substance solicited by the major leagues, but if a small number use them, then we could just keep them all out, right? Probably, but the numbers isn't likely to be small. The website www.baseballsteroids.com or baseballsteroidera.com reports in players linked to steroid and human growth hormones that there have been 129 players linked to steroids from sources ranging from the Mitchell Report, Major League Baseball hired report to the Commissioner of Baseball on the spread of anabolic steroids and human growth hormone in the major leagues, to admitted sources, and this is just in the major leagues alone. The article Steroids from BaseballReference.com states that former baseball players and steroid-abusing fanatic self-named steroid developer Jose Canseco was quoted as saying he estimated that 85% of major leaguers were also using steroids. Now that number may seem radical to some. Former Astros third baseman Ken Caminetti remarked that he estimated 50% of players were using steroids, but later retracted that claim and said that the number was lower. And still, Major League Baseball had a different opinion, guessing that it would only be 5 to 7% of players using steroids. So whose percentage is correct? No one really knows. It'd be easier to believe the Major League Baseball percentage, since they are the ones who test players. But their numbers might be skewed since it's so easy to beat the test. Also, before any of this illegal human growth hormone use was made public, major leagues would hardly even search for it. Because of this flaw, many users went unnoticed. The 2013 ballot for the Baseball Hall of Fame was one of the biggest, most controversial to date. It contained multiple alleged steroid users that retired in 2008. Of them was home run king and the main man in the ball club steroid scandal, Barry Bonds. Other notables would be Craig Biggio, Sammy Sosa, Mike Piazza, and Roger Clemens. All were somehow connected to steroids in one way or another. There's never been a class like this, declares Joe Finansky from an article written in 2011 about the 2013 ballot. Bonds and Clemens are two of the best ever to play the game. If not for the steroid noise that surrounds them, you could make a viable argument that they are simply the best two ever. He went on to say that maybe one day they will all make it into the baseball promised land, but not in 2013. He was right, but why? It's not like steroids are new to baseball at all, even though it just seems like we are realizing it. In Craig Calcaterra's web article, remember, there are already steroid users in the Hall of Fame. He declares that in page 28 of the Mitchell Report, in 1973, a congressional subcommittee announced that its staff had completed an in-depth study into the use of illegal and dangerous drugs in sports, including professional baseball. This subcommittee concluded that the degree of improper drug use, primarily amphetamines and anabolic steroids, can only be described as alarming. That was 1973. Steroids really came into big discussion in the 1990s and 2000s, nearly 30 years after the use of legal substances became alarming in the major leagues. This was 1973, before the height of drug awareness in professional sports. Calcaterra goes on to state that Thomas Boswell, a Hall of Fame voter, already knew of a current Hall of Famer that used steroids. In Ken Burns' documentary called 10th Inning, Boswell states that a player said he was drinking a Jose Canseco milkshake. Canseco is known as a huge steroid abuser, and even wrote 2 different books about steroids called Juice and Vindicated. But this was before any of that in 1988. DR, who wrote the article "If You Ain't Cheating, You Ain't Trying" responsibly, said steroid users do not deserve to be in the Hall of Fame by stating that cheaters are already dispersed throughout the Hall. He states that most people believe that steroid users behaved immorally, contrary to the good character that is supposed to be shown by the Hall's members. But he says that didn't exclude players like Cap Anson and Ty Cobb, who lobbied for racial segregation in baseball and attempted to hurt other fans and players respectively. You might argue that at least those players hadn't taken any illegal substances, of course it is before their time, but multiple others baseball stars have. The names of greats like Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, Mickey Mantle, and Mike Schmidt all have been known to use amphetamines before games, and there has never once been a dispute whether they belong in the Hall of Fame. Amphetamines are a type of synthetic drug that stimulates the central nervous system. It makes the user feel more awake and focused. Baseball players would take this to be more alert during their games. You can see where this would help while batting in the field or pitching. Also, the league could have a separate wing of Hall of Famers. This could be for all the known or alleged steroid or performance enhancement drug users. This would be a way to signify their greatness and let them be in the Hall of Fame. It's sort of like the idea that was around when Barry Bonds was in his chase for the home run record. Some people said they should list his name at the top of the home run list, but have an asterisk next to it. This is the same idea for the separate wing. If you agree with me, you'll say steroid users don't deserve to be in because the use of steroids is considered cheating. Most writers, voters, and ball players agree that Cooperstown is reserved for the best and smartest players that have ever graced the fields of the major leagues. Players with horrible character and no integrity have no place in the Hall of Fame. A lot of players may make the excuse that everyone was doing it at the time. When I was little, I used to get in trouble as a kid, and I used to say that all the time. Everyone was doing it, Mom. It's fine. My mom would always tell me the same thing. Give a brain. Think for yourself. Saying everyone else was doing it is not a good enough excuse. Steroids and other drug users were abused, and drugs were abused in baseball from the 1960s and still are abused today. The steroid abusers do not deserve to make it to the Hall of Fame. There's no place for cheaters in the game, especially in the most hallowed grounds of baseball. True, their skills were never seen before or again, but that was partially because it was the result of synthetic substances. While impressive, voting these players in would not be pure or a positive image for the game.